So not only are we talking Alfred Hitchcock and all his movies, but man, we're also going to talk some of our favorite.
Piece of me?
Do I feel lucky? Well, do you, punk?
Good morning, Vietnam! I love the smell of napalm in the morning.
You're gonna need a bigger boat.
I feel the need for speed.
I wish I knew how to quit you.
Love means never having to say you're sorry.
You do. You'll shoot your eye out, kid.
What up? Happy Tuesday, moviegoers. Welcome to episode 371. Welcome to Alfred Hitchcock, and welcome. You're listening to a brand new episode of the Cine-Men Movie Podcast. I am one of your hosts, Juan. I am joined by the cast, the crew, the guy who knows Hitchcock better than Hitchcock knows himself. Zach?
Oh yeah, he's not alive to defend himself, so we're gonna go with that statement.
You know, is that why he didn't answer any of my phone calls to do this interview today?
I'm gonna make that assumption, yeah, because I tried reaching out to him, but the line kept ringing, and it was really weird.
Listen, it is 2 for Tuesday. It is your regular sized Tuesday weekly show for the Cine-Men Movie Podcast. Has been weekly. It doesn't matter if it's on a Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Sunday. We're going 7 years strong. Okay, we're up there with Seinfeld right now, right?
Yeah, we are actually
a show about nothing.
Well, but here on the Cine-Men Movie Podcast, we always have something to talk about, whether it be Hitchcock, Frankenweenie, Thunder doing their first game of the year. We got something always to talk about.
Mr. All right himself.
We got a double dose of that. Just so you know, guys, November is going to be a packed month. Packed. We got double dose of McConaughey, we got some Del Toro, and we got Wicked coming up. So be on the lookout for that.
Speaking of, if you guys were not able to join us last week, we had a hilarious episode all about the Texas Chainsaw Massacre, The Next Generation. Whether you like the movie or not, we had a fun conversation about it. So go back and listen to it wherever you listen to podcasts, whether it's iHeartRadio, Podbean, Spotify, iTunes, Amazon Music, TuneIn, Stitcher, the Prescribed Films Network we are on, hashtag the PFPN. Just Google search or Facebook search prescribedfilms.com, and there we pop up. We're also live on YouTube, the Enos Wall Productions YouTube channel, and you can hit us up on our Facebook page, the Cine-Men Movie Podcast. The Instagram is all one word /Cine-Men Movie Podcast. X, formerly known as Twitter, is at Cine-Men405, or you can just send us a good old-fashioned email. You've got mail. CINEMEN921 at gmail.com, and we'll be able to check it out then. Before we get into Hitchcock movies, Zach, I want to talk about recent watches because it has been a fantastic week for me. Personally, it has not been a fantastic week. Whether it's surgeries or appointments or kids, work, it's just been a crazy week. But I did get some watches in there, and I'm pretty stoked to talk to you about some watches. You want to start with a good note or a bad note, Zach? Oh, you're mute. I can't hear you.
Sorry. Let's start with the good. What do you got on the good side?
The good is I watched. These are going to be on my good side. Honey, Don't.
Oh, what that was good.
I liked it. Okay. The Birds, Hitchcock, Opus.
Oh, the A24 movie with the girl from The Bear.
Yes.
Yep.
On Becoming a Guinea Fowl, another A24 movie.
Okay.
And this is where it just took the cake. Rear Window Psycho, obviously. I Like Me, the John Candy documentary on Amazon Prime.
I've heard nothing but incredible things.
Absolutely fantastic. It made me laugh until my stomach hurt. It made me cry until I had an ugly cry. This movie has so many different emotions. Being a film fan, being a dad, being a heavy set kind of guy, being somebody who struggled with depression, and being somebody who loves themselves, but yet also being somebody who just loves comedy and film in general. And I'm just like, dude, this movie has made me feel so much different emotions than any other movie has this entire year. Highly recommend it. Amazon Prime. If they put out a physical copy, I would buy it just to own it. I'm going to say it's one of my favorite documentaries of all time.
Wow.
It's
Okay.
it doesn't drag, and every single scene. It's directed by Colin Hanks, and man, it's just phenomenal, man. I highly recommend it.
Nice. Yeah, I had it loaded up on the Amazon Prime, but just didn't get to it this weekend. Yeah, I've heard nothing but rave reviews. I think a lot of people are saying it's one of the best movies of the year, or whether it be documentary or movie, it's one of the best of the year. So I got to get to that.
I wasn't expecting much from Honey Don't, so that's probably why I liked it. But Chris Evans, Aubrey Plaza, help me out with the main girl.
Oh, Margaret Qualley, I think, from The Substance.
Yeah, Margaret Qualley was great. It's only an hour and 24 minutes.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, so it's Charlie Day is funny in it, so I liked it. It's also it feels like an old school that it's trying to be an old school noir whodunit kind of movie, but it's comedy, and it's done by one of the
Coen brothers.
Coen brothers.
Yeah.
Okay, now terrible. And I don't know, maybe it's not terrible, but maybe it's just because I watched one great documentary and then I was like, oh, let me check this one out. And it's also A24. But I checked out the Steve Martin documentary that's on Apple TV.
Yeah.
And it's maybe it's because he's also still alive, but he kind of produced it himself. I liked it, but again, maybe it's because I just got done watching Candy, but it was kind of like subpar. I gave Candy a 5. I think I'd give this one like a 3.
Okay.
But it's also really long. It's like
it's each 2 parts, isn't it?
Two episodes, and each is like an hour and 40 minutes. So, and then this isn't this. I should have put this on the good list, and I liked it. I think I'm going to start doing my recent watches this way. The Charlie Sheen documentary on Netflix. Have you seen it?
So, like, we watched the first half of the first episode. It is bonkers, crazy.
It's crazy, but it's good.
Yeah, it's really good. Yeah,
I didn't like, nor did I saw this documentary. I was like, Charlie Sheen, I'm not giving it my time of day. But then I saw some of the interviews that are in it. I love 2.5 Men. Yeah. I was like, okay, I think I have to. Then somebody at work said it was good. I watched it, finished it. I binge watched the 2 episodes. I'm like, that's really good. So the Charlie Sheen documentary I liked. Terrible. The Psycho remake. Okay.
Okay. I'll let you defend yourself. Go ahead.
No. There's no defending myself. I was like, you know what? We're talking Hitchcock. Psycho is one of the best movies I've ever seen in my life. I have to see this shot-for-shot remake. There's no question to it. Now, being a movie fan for so long, knowing the cast, I was excited about the cast. You know, I was like, oh, Vince Vaughn, Viggo Mortensen, William H. Macy. The list goes on and on. Julianne Moore.
Garbage.
I am like, why? And even if you do a remake, fine. But why it had to be a line for line, shot for shot, dialogue for dialogue remake? I was like, insanely terrible. I gave it a 1 out of 5, and I'm just like, there is no reason for it. But again, it's one of those movies that in my lifetime, I feel like if I'm such a fan of Psycho, I had to see this. And not only, it's directed by Gus Van Sant, one of the greatest directors of all time.
Yeah. I think he did Good Will Hunting before that, so it's just like, wow.
Vince Vaughn is one of the main reasons I hated the movie. Vince Vaughn is just Vince Vaughn, knowing how his comedy is. I'm like, he's not a Norman Bates.
I don't understand how, like, Anne Hesh at the time, I kind of get to play Marion. That kind of makes sense.
Drew Barrymore is who they wanted, but she had scheduling conflict issues.
And I even understand that. How the hell did they come up with Vince Vaughn to play Norman Bates? That makes no sense.
So the three people that originally they wanted as Norman Bates was Christian Bale, Matt Dillon, and there's somebody else I forgot. But they were all
I understand all those, but I mean, at the time, Christian Bale, Vince Vaughn is primarily doing comedies, and so I don't understand. Like, I don't know. When you sent me that poster, I should have sent you the picture of Bates Motel, the TV show. I said, just watch that. That's a hell of a lot better than the remake.
Yeah. So I mean, I was like, I had to, and
I get it, but
it was only on sale for $4 on Amazon Prime. So now I own it for $4, but still. But yeah, if I had to recommend anything, don't waste your time. Go check out I Like Me, the John Candy documentary. It's on Amazon Prime. It's so good. What about you, Zach? What did you check out?
So I finished season 2 of Stranger Things. Now on season 3. Well, I'll start seasons 3 tonight. Went to the theater 3 times. Went and saw Roofman, the Channing Tatum, Kirsten Dunst movie. That was actually, they don't make movies like that anymore, and I thought it was actually really well done. Tron Ares. I rewatched Tron Legacy before seeing the new one, and I liked Legacy a lot better, honestly. It just made a lot more sense story-wise. And then rewatched The Black Phone, which I think we were kind of on the episode, but I liked it a lot more on the rewatch, and went and saw Black Phone 2 and liked it a lot better than 1. I think because now that I know the whole we can talk to dead kids type, the whole that sideline of the story, that's like, now that I know that's a thing in this universe, it didn't come out of left field.
Okay.
And the sister takes more of a front seat in the second movie.
So it's a true sequel, not like
it's a true sequel. Yeah.
Okay. But yeah, I might. I don't know if I'll go check it out in theaters just because personal issue. But I definitely think I'll check out the first. I'll check out the first one, and then I might buy the second one when it comes out.
Yeah. I say the cinematography in this one's a lot better. There's a lot of like creepy, and it's a lot more gorier than the first movie. It's just, I thought it was a really good. I don't know. It's not going to make my best of the year, but it's a worthy sequel for the first one. So,
interesting.
So Stranger Things and Black Phone 2. So,
if you guys want to recommend anything to us that could maybe be an episode, or you guys just want us to check it out and put it in our recent watches, shoot us up. Not that way, but hit us up on these. Yeah, hit us up on the social medias, facebook.com/the Cine-Men Movie Podcast, or the Instagram /Cine-Men Movie Podcast. You can hit us up that way. But Zach, today we are.
One last thing. And I watched to get ready for this episode, Hitchcock, the Anthony Hopkins movie. So
I watched that a little bit. I watched that as well. So it should be fun. I can't wait. What we're doing today, guys, we're not talking about a movie. We're not having a conversation or reviewing a movie. We are simply talking about a profile piece. If you guys haven't checked out one of our profile pieces, and this is your first one, you're in for a treat because we just hang out, talk more about movies, and discuss what we're talking about today, which is Alfred Hitchcock. So he's a director, writer, producer, born 1899, died 1980. So yeah, he's done so many great movies. But what we're gonna get ready to get into is talk about some of his awards. He was nominated 5 times for Best Director. Sadly, which is weird, he never won for Best Director, but he did win an Oscar for Rebecca, Best Picture. I did not get to watch this. I was like so enthused. I was like, I have to watch the only movie he's ever won any kind of Oscar for, but I didn't get to it. It's available on Criterion. 1940. Yeah. Never watched it, so I was super, super excited, but I didn't get to it today. Hopefully I can get to it this week and I can talk to you guys about it next week. But man, Psycho. I'm going to talk about the first time I was ever introduced to Hitchcock, and then if you want to, you can talk about your story with Hitchcock. It was Psycho. Never seen it until the year 2010. I worked at FYE, hashtag RIP to the crew. That is where I developed my love for true movies. I'd always liked movies. I'd always liked horror movies, but I didn't start realizing true film passion until I worked at FYE. I'm also being in like the drama club and stuff in high school. But long story short, Psycho is the first time I got introduced to Alfred Hitchcock, and then this film has been a influence on me professionally, if I can call this professionalism. I don't know, Zach. It's a podcast, but
isn't Psycho the first film we ever did for the show? Even before I came on.
That's what I'm getting ready to get to. But yeah, so this movie has been influential to me professionally, personally, and in all different kinds of views. But that's how I got introduced to Alfred Hitchcock. Zach, let's say you.
So it's kind of a two-part story. I think really the first movie I was introduced to was Rear Window. It was an 8th grade, maybe even 9th grade English class where we watched it. My teacher at the time was very much into like old school music, old school film. And, Rear Window was the first Hitchcock movie I watched. And it was ironic because it was either the same year or a couple years after Disturbia had come out. And I was like, this is just a quote unquote old version of Disturbia, essentially. And I kind of pushed it aside, and ironic because we're going to talk about that in a little bit. But really my first true, like, oh, wow, this old school type film is good was North by Northwest. That was like my first introduction to what a Hitchcock movie could truly be. And it kind of made me want to go back and see the other films and kind of see like what this quote unquote arguably one of the top, or if not one of the best directors that's ever lived. And it's a ride, man, to see his films.
So not only, you mentioned North by Northwest, but were you a James Bond fan before North by Northwest?
No. Well, it's hard. I can't really say I was. I grew up, I think technically I grew up with Pierce Brosnan, but I really got into the Daniel Craig ones, but it really wasn't until Skyfall that I really went back and watched James Bond. So Daniel, I think Casino and Quantum had come out, but I didn't really realize that Hitchcock or North by Northwest was very much like a James Bond story in a weird sort of way. So,
and it's crazy to say this, but I have been using the words all week describing him as one of the forefathers of fear.
Yeah.
And it's kind of crazy to say this, but would you say before Psycho, he just really had his espionage spy kind of thrillers?
Yeah.
It wasn't until his 2 movies back to back where you're like, man, this guy can input some fear into everybody.
Yeah.
So isn't it crazy that like a British director who was known for notoriously making Oscar-worthy pictures, 60, 70 years later down the road, we would look at him and say, I can't think of a horror movie without thinking of Alfred Hitchcock. How crazy is that? But that's how talented this director was.
Well, and I think that's the craziest thing. I mean, he literally, and we will remind the listener, the only reason why we did this is because both of us watched Monster, the Ed Gein story on Netflix, and that kind of reminded us of like Yeah, if it wasn't for Psycho and the Hitchcock, I mean, whether we want to admit it or not, he basically invented the slasher genre, essentially.
Also, somebody near and dear to my heart recommended, hey, you guys should have a conversation all about Alfred Hitchcock. So I also kudos to them. They were supposed to hang out and join us today. Life happens. But whether it's the Ed Gein story on Netflix, the real life book of Psycho, the movie itself, the original Psycho, to me, it's just crazy going back and looking at stuff like The Man Who Knew Too Much, right? Or The Man Who Knew Too Little.
The Man Who Knew Too Much, which is ironic because I think he's really maybe one of a handful of directors who's only ever directed the original and also directed the remake.
Which, if you guys want to, you can watch the original. It's streaming free on YouTube. I found a lot of his movies just streaming for free on different places.
Probably a lot of his older, like 30s and late 20s and 30 films. Yeah.
Yeah. Not to mention you have the mystery shows that are like An Evening with Alfred Hitchcock or Alfred Hitchcock Presents. Those, I believe, those are all on Peacock.
Yeah.
But
which essentially those, I mean, if you want to take it a step further, that's kind of the original Twilight Zone in a weird way.
Yeah.
So, and he only, I actually looked this up. He only directed I think that show went like 10 seasons almost or something like that, but he only directed like 17 episodes himself, which is kind of interesting.
Yeah, so let's talk about influential wise, because this man, but also this movie Psycho, has influenced horror throughout the world and throughout the history of film. You're talking about Halloween, Scream, numerous different franchises, but those are the two biggest influential, or the two biggest like films that you can look at horror wise and be like, that's Psycho, or that came from Psycho, or that name came from Psycho. We're talking about Dr. Loomis from Halloween. That character's name is from Psycho. Billy Loomis, whether it's Scream paying homage to Halloween or whether it's Halloween paying homage to Psycho, it all just circulates back to that film and to Alfred Hitchcock.
Yeah, and I think it's so weird because we both watched the Anthony Hopkins Hitchcock movie, and there was a lot of people that didn't think that, no one wanted to see a slasher film, for one. That was unheard of at the time. And no one had any faith in it. It's like, a lot of people thought he should have quit after North by Northwest. Like, that was his opus. There's no way that's going to be beaten. He's done so many great movies up to that point. I mean, like, Jesus, look at the run. 1958 Vertigo, North by Northwest, and then he does Psycho in 1960. And it's become, like you said, you can trace the dots. Psycho, Halloween, Scream. I mean, if you don't have Psycho, you don't have like the slasher genre of the late 70s, 80s. And really up to that point, by 1960, like you said, we only really had espionage thrillers, and the Universal monsters were still going to that point, but they weren't as popular as they were in the 30s and 40s. So,
and you can even take it one step further and be like, if it wasn't for him or Psycho, would we even get certain rated R movies in the United States or in this country?
No, I don't think we would, because really still up to that point, the Hays Code, which was like a really big thing that was kind of set up in the late 30s, of we need to blanket films, because we're not going to show graphic violence, we're not going to show nudity, we're not going to show just really things that would be considered inappropriate by church standards. And I listened to like a brief interview with Tarantino today, and he truly believed that because of the Hays Code, Hitchcock was not allowed to do what his full potential could be. If he was making films in the late 70s and 80s, a lot of these movies would be a lot more graphic than what we got. Would you agree with that?
Yeah, I was going to ask you. Let's say Alfred Hitchcock was born 1920, okay, and that
Yeah.
puts him roughly 20 years ahead of his time. And let's say he died in 1990 or 1995, and let's say he had a chance to make Psycho in 1978, which is the year Halloween came out. Do you think, it's almost hard to say, do you think we would still even have gotten the year 1960 to 1978 in a different type of horror? Really, what I'm trying to say is, do you think John Carpenter still would have pushed the limits without maybe having a Psycho influential kind of film?
I don't think so. I mean, you watch the original Halloween and Psycho's written all over it. I mean, from the opening sequence to the kills to the music itself, kind of like homaging Bernard Herrmann's score in Psycho. I think horror movies. The interesting thing about horror movies is they've always been a product of their time. So if you take a look at it, the 60s, 70s, we were dealing with kind of the start of Vietnam, the civil rights. We were kind of over like the nuclear scares of the 50s. So we were kind of doing, I I think it's hard to say because I think social issues, kind of like how we take horror movies today with like Get Out and stuff like that. I think that would have happened if Psycho hadn't came in 1960. It's hard to tell because you look at his films that he did after that was after Psycho was The Birds, which I think we did that last year, and I think we both agree it's hard to follow Psycho, but I think that's the best version of that. But like Marnie, Torn Curtain, Topaz, Frenzy, and Family Plot, they were nowhere near as acclaimed as Psycho. That's just. Would you agree that Psycho is his masterpiece?
Oh yeah, for sure. And
Or his magnum opus, or whatever it is.
I'll argue with anybody who says otherwise.
Yeah, and so it's.
And so a lot of movies tip their hat to Psycho, that horror wise. And out of all the movies I've seen in my lifetime and horror movies that are like, okay, when you think of Halloween, you're like, oh, they tip their hat to Psycho. Let's everybody looks at Halloween and says, could have happened without Psycho. Scream, they even say it in the movie. But another thing I want to talk about is there's one movie that hardly anybody, and I mean anybody, crosses paths with when they watch this original film. Came out in 1980. It's a slasher. But when people watch it to this day, nobody sits to think Psycho or Alfred Hitchcock. And I got to tell you, before I say this movie, the score of Psycho is just like Halloween. Like you said, I appreciate that you said that. Without the score, I don't think this movie does anything.
Yeah.
So the movie I'm talking about is the original Friday the 13th. And it's, at the end of the day, who is the killer at the end of the movie? It's not Jason. It's the mom.
Yeah, that's true.
And it's all about what mommy and what happens with her son. It's just the roles are reversed in this one because the son could be dead. She's living her Psycho life influential kills through her son, who at the end of the day, you don't know in the movie if he's dead or not. So I was thinking about this the other day. I didn't get to watch Friday the 13th before today's episode, but I've seen it so many times. I'm like, this movie, again, just like Halloween, Scream, and some of the others, it has Psycho influenced all over it, even with the score.
Yeah. I was gonna laugh at that, but the more you sit down and really think about that and just think like, yeah, the roles are reversed as the mom is the killer, and you don't know whether the son that is textbook Psycho. I mean, whether you want to admit it or not.
And the score, which helps the movie become scarier and scarier, you're almost like, okay, so out of the big three horror names, Psycho helped develop, or I mean, I guess you can even say four. Psycho helped develop three of them because you got Halloween, Scream, Friday the 13th, and if you, I was going to say Nightmare on Elm Street, but I mean, give or take, we can leave him on the shelf for another day. But you're talking 3 out of 4 huge monumental franchises were all paved the way to by Psycho.
Yeah. I mean, and to take it a step further, these are two completely different films. Psycho is to Halloween as 2001: A Space Odyssey as a Star Wars. I mean, those two films really Psycho set the road for what horror was going to become, and 2001 set the road for what science fiction was going to become. Now, Star Wars and 2001 are two completely different films, but you can see, you go back and watch the original Star Wars, you can see the influence of 2001 on it.
And, there's going to be those people who argue, well, Peeping Tom was really the original slasher film and introduced the slasher genre into horror. I'm like, yes, that may be true. It came out like the same year or the year before, but I'm like, what did Peeping Tom do to the horror industry that Psycho did not just put on a magnifying glass and make bigger?
I didn't even know what that was. I didn't even know what that movie was until you just mentioned it. So, like, what does that tell you?
Yeah. So, I mean, but at the end of the day, if you want to argue, yes, Peeping Tom, I believe, came out first and was a actual slasher movie.
Yeah.
But I mean,
how many movies? Like, you go anyone on a street, you walk down Oklahoma City in downtown, you say, which movie have you heard, Psycho or Peeping Tom? 98% of the audience is going to say Psycho.
I would almost say Psycho is to horror what Napster was to music.
Oh, yeah. That is a good comparison. Yeah.
Napster changed the game in music, and Psycho, like it or not, like did the exact same thing to horror movies, because horror was never the same after Psycho came out.
Yeah, and reading some facts about him, he fought with the editing or the MPPA a lot. Like, the fact that the shower sequence is what it is in today's world is like, that was unheard of, and it's bonkers to think that people were so upset that they're showing a toilet being flushed. That was like so risque back in the day. You're sitting there going like, really? A toilet? Like that's what we're getting all been out of shape about?
1960 though, the age of times.
Yeah.
There was no need to show a toilet in American cinema before. Just like the shower head over her head, in Psycho. They were like, I know they were giving him a hard time about that. Like, why does that need to be shown? But let's get this. This is an Alfred Hitchcock episode. It feels like a Psycho Part 3 episode, really. So let's talk. While you look up some questions and some more stuff about Hitchcock, I'm going to let everybody know that this podcast would not have gotten off the ground if it wasn't for the movie Psycho. We had it. That was our very first episode, was Psycho, back in 2018, and then even for a anniversary episode, we had a conversation part 2 all about Psycho for an anniversary episode 158. There it is. So yeah,
that seems like a billion years ago.
Episode 1 and episode 158. Man, we talked about Psycho, and it's so this movie is very near and dear to this podcast's existence. So,
yeah. So I wrote down some facts that I thought was interesting. Like you said on the onset, he never won an Oscar. He was nominated for Rebecca, Lifeboat, Spellbound, Rear Window, and he was nominated for Psycho. The movie that won, Psycho wasn't even nominated for Best Picture that year. The Apartment won Best Picture that year.
I have that, by the way.
It's a good movie, I'll admit, but like nowhere near memorable as Psycho. You know the scene in the Hitchcock movie where they go, he said like go like all over the United States to buy every copy of Psycho so no one knows the twist ending of it.
Yeah.
That was a real thing. I thought that was just, they put that in there for dramatic purposes. He made a documentary about Nazi concentration camps called Memory of the Camps, which I had never, ever heard of, but this is a real thing. But like nobody, I don't think anyone can actually find it, honestly. But it wasn't released due to, it was shelved after the war, but it was rediscovered decades later. They thought the film would hurt the British because of just like the poor, like, why didn't you do anything to stop these people? You can actually watch it on PBS. So it's only like 52 minutes long, so I might check that out. And then one of his very first films is that he ever made, which was called The Mountain Eagle, made in 1926, is basically lost. Like film historians, film nerds, the Lost Hitchcock film, that's like the granddaddy of them all. So if someone were to find that, it would like break the world essentially. But ironically, when Hitchcock was interviewed about that, he said he didn't think it was a very good movie he made. So he was like, yeah, I'm glad it's kind of lost essentially. And ironically enough, the last fact I have is he was afraid of his own creations. He never watched any of his own movies. Like he didn't understand, like he was scared of him, but he didn't really understand why people wanted to go see his movies, which is kind of ironic.
That's so weird.
So it's like those people that, you know, the actors that are afraid of what they don't like watching themselves because it just looks weird or whatever. It's kind of the same thing. So
we did mention the film Hitchcock from 2012.
I'll be honest with you, man. Like I saw that in theaters when it came out. I was super excited about it. That movie is an hour and 38 minutes. Why does it feel like 2 hours?
Okay, so let's talk about it. You rewatched it, obviously, for this episode. So did I. Yeah. What's your real thoughts on it years later? Over 10 years later, you know, and I was like, maybe we can just do two birds, one stone and review the movie and talk about Hitchcock. But I mean, we technically are anyway. But, you know, years later, knowing how much you know about Hitchcock and rewatching it, what do you think this time around?
This time around, I forgot. Like Anthony, I think the best parts are Anthony Hopkins and Helen Mirren as Hitchcock and his wife Alma. There was a lot of it that I just forgot about it. But I remember walking out of the theaters like, man, that movie was only an hour and 30 minutes, but it felt like 2 hours. And it felt, that was my biggest complaint about it. Like I'll be honest with you, man, I fell asleep like two times. And so I think it's a good movie. I think it's a good biopic, but it's one that like Hitchcock's or not Hitchcock, Anthony Hopkins' performance as Hitchcock, I liked a lot better than what they did in the Monster TV show, if that makes sense.
It makes sense, but I think he had too much prosthetics this time around.
I don't think so, because Hitchcock was a big dude. I mean,
I'm not talking about the weight. I'm talking about his face. His sunken in eyeballs and his caveman like head was just like maybe a little too much.
Well, and he did do it. It was hard, like, you know, that was because Anthony Hopkins' real voice is like still there, but he's definitely doing a Hitchcock impression. So it's kind of like when he talks, sometimes he's just like, oh, that's Anthony Hopkins in a fat suit with prosthetics, essentially. What do you think of, or on this rewatch, what do you think about it?
So I don't know as much about Hitchcock as you do, but I do know. I wanted to ask if how much of the film was filler compared to how much was like genuine real stuff. Like, was he really obsessed with thinking his wife was having an affair?
So that part, I don't know if that's actually historically accurate. Like the movie making side of it, that was a lot of that was verbatim what happened, but the whole I think you're having an affair with whoever that was, Danny Houston's character. I don't honestly, I don't know if that's like based in fact or not.
And then speaking of Danny Houston, who again really did he play?
Go ahead and give your thoughts. I'm gonna look him up real quick.
Danny Houston, to me, I could have sworn I thought he was playing like. Honestly, I can't even remember who he was playing. I thought maybe he was just somebody who was added for filler scenes about, oh, you're having an affair. You know, I didn't think he was actually a real character. But
his character name was Whitefield Cook. I'm gonna see
Danny
real
Houston.
quick if he was a yeah. I'm gonna see real quick if that was actually a real character, real person. Yeah, this was a real individual. He was an American writer who wrote screenplays, stage plays, short stories, and he actually contributed to two of Hitchcock's films, Stage Fright and Strangers on a Plane. So he was a real person who, it's really unclear if like he actually hadn't, quote unquote, almost had an affair with his wife. It just maybe that was just done for dramatic purposes. So who really knows?
What do you think? Do you think you would watch that again, or was it mainly just for this episode and you're like, I don't think I'll ever touch it again? Talking about Hitchcock from 2012.
Honestly,
yeah,
I would. Can you see me?
Yeah.
Okay. I probably wouldn't watch. I've been wanting to watch it for a while. I'm glad I did for the show, but I don't know if I'd rewatch it again, if ever. What about you?
I gotta say I dug it, but I do agree with you this time around. It did feel like, okay, it's an hour and 45 minutes. This could be cut down to an hour and 30.
Yeah. Yeah, I would agree with that. Do you think it's weird, or do you think it's kind of crazy that, and this is on historical record, that, you know, Anthony Perkins was not really, and this was depicted in the Monster TV show. I think he appreciated his role in Psycho, but you know, he didn't. I think for the remainder of his life, he didn't like the idea that he was going to be known as Norman Bates, and that kind of like haunted the rest of his career, because that's all people wanted him to do was like these crazy psycho type characters.
I mean, at the end of the day, I'm like, I don't know. Maybe that had something to do with him personally, because I know he did have mother issues in real life. And it's hard. It's hard to say. Oh, I'm not in his shoes, and I can't judge that way. But I'm also like, man,
that's what you're known for. That's what he's known for, though.
Right, but where I'm sitting at financially, I'm like, man, if you want me to dress up as Norman Bates and come to a Halloween like convention, why wouldn't you be in? You're getting paid for it, and I don't know if he's got a star in the Hollywood Walk of Fame, but
yeah, well, he did. What, there was like 3 or 4 more Psycho movies after the original?
Yeah, there was 4. So he did Norman Bates 3 more additional times.
And I think actually he directed the 3rd one.
Yeah, there's 4 of them. And I did have 2, 3, and 4 at one time on Blu-ray. I don't know if I still have. No, I know for sure I don't have it. But yeah.
So crazy enough, Anthony Perkins has 2 stars on the Hollywood Walk of Fame. He has one for motion pictures and one for when he did his television work. So that's great. That's crazy. I know we've been doing a lot of Psycho. What is so overall you thought the Hitchcock, the Anthony Hopkins Hitchcock movie was good, but
I give it a 3.5.
3.5. Yeah.
I give it a 3.5.
I would agree. Do you think it's interesting that films like this, Psycho is one, Casablanca's another one. Citizen Kane's another one. Do you think it's interesting that these people that make these films all these years ago saying like, well, we're just doing something because we thought it was a good idea, and they turn out to be like classics for the rest of time? Do you think that's an interesting concept?
It's an interesting concept, and it would make good for an interesting public conversation. I think at the end of the day, movies like those, Wizard of Oz, which Wizard of Oz is on pace to making $1 billion this year. Let's not forget that's going to be in the $1 billion picture, top 10 in the next few months. I think those movies that were influenced a pop culture, and that was so influential on people personally, professionally. I think it's insane that they didn't get their nod from the Academy.
Yeah,
it's almost like, whose job was it to make sure this piece of art was nominated or won Best Picture, and they let it slip through their hands? That's an interesting topic. But like,
another comparison I just thought of. Go ahead. Go ahead and finish your thought.
I was just gonna flat out again say, you just said it, Casablanca. That's another conversation. That's a movie and an episode that we can have a part 2 of, because it's just like, how does Casablanca slip through the fingertips and become an inspirational film, but just doesn't have the accolades to go with it?
The only argument I would say against that is Casablanca. Casablanca won Best Picture. Actually,
it did win Best Picture. But I'm also just talking about, I don't know, man. Maybe it's just because I'm such a film lover in general. But what's really disappointing is these movies are slowly starting to fade out as decades go on. The people who are remembering these movies, who are pushing and pushing and pushing, obviously it's always going to be there. And now because of streaming, it's also always going to be there too. Mm-hmm. But it's just like, even it being spooky season, Psycho is not trending. Even during award season, Casablanca, movies like those are not trending, because you got to twist somebody's arm to go back and watch a movie that's before 1980 or before 1990.
And that's what scares me the most about it. Like, the Warren, well, not the Warren itself, but like, what am I trying to say? The Regal down there in Norman that we went to a while ago. Every day this month, they're showing a classic horror movie, like for spooky season. Mm-hmm. And I think either this week or the next, I think sometime this week, they're showing the Universal Monsters, like one each day. And they're showing, tonight they're showing Event Horizon. Tomorrow starting tomorrow, they're going to show The Invisible Man from 1933. And Sunday, I really want to go. They're showing Creature from the Black Lagoon in 3D, the way it was meant to be seen. I was like, dude.
Oh, nice.
And that to me is just like, I think it's a trend right now, bringing back old movies for nostalgia reasons or whatever. But I think that's a great way to bring like people back into the theater, because like, hey, we weren't alive when Creature from the Black Lagoon came out. Well, here's your chance to go see it in theaters. I think they showed Psycho earlier this month, and it was just like, but yeah, by the time I would have went.
The problem also is not the time, but it's some of the charges that they're normal ticket price for some of these movies.
Yeah, because this is like it's like $13 to go see it. I'm like, I got the Blu-ray in the garage. What,
Yeah, I have to tip my hat off, because even through COVID, they've never changed the prices, and they're not anywhere on the poster, folks. You can look at it. It doesn't matter what movie we're talking about. You don't see their logo on the poster. Harkins Theater, every Tuesday they show those classics still for just $5.
Yep.
They've never upped the price. They've never upped anything as far as ticket prices for these classic movie nights. The only thing that kind of sucks for me is they're doing it Tuesdays at 7:30. I'm like, I got work super early the next day. But anyway, they're still there. When I worked there way back in 2016, $5. Through COVID, through everything that's going on in the world right now, $5. And I'm like,
Yeah.
I tip my hat off to him, but how it hasn't went up in price, even though I've seen some of those movies be completely empty, I'm like, I gotta applaud that, man, because without that $5 movie price, that's where I went and seen Jurassic Park. I don't remember seeing it at 3 or 4 years old, but because of they show classic Tuesday movies years ago, I
Yeah.
saw it for $5. So
Well, you and me, we went and saw Casablanca a couple years, like back in early
but
2020, I think.
if it wasn't for you telling me, and if it wasn't for that $5 ticket price, I'm like, dude, Casablanca on the big screen was phenomenal.
Yeah. And there's
So
something, I don't know about you, like anytime I get a chance to go see that type of movie, it's just like it almost like transports me back of when it was released. It's just like, this is what this was, it's almost like here, like, yeah, what you weren't around when it originally came out, but like that's what that experience was, seeing Casablanca or Jurassic Park or whatever.
Yeah.
I saw Rear Window last year for its 70th anniversary, and that was an incredible experience.
Oh, that's cool. Yeah, that's one of my recent watches, Rear Window. I would have loved to see that in the big screen.
So, to put this in perspective, an average movie ticket is about $15. Depending on where you go, it's about $15. When Psycho was released in 1960, the average movie ticket in the United States, pending location, was 75 cents. Could you imagine going to the movies for 75 cents? At the same time, the minimum wage in the U.S. was about $1.30 per hour. Some sources note that for children's matinee in the early 1960s, tickets could cost a little about 25 to 35 cents. Now, adjusted for inflation, now this is last year, adjusted for inflation, that 75 ticket would be the equivalent of like $8 in today's time. Now, you can go to the movies, depending on what location you go to, for about $8. It just depends.
Interesting.
So,
but we have a top 5 list we got to let loose, and
we do got
that, yeah. So let's dig into our top 5 Alfred Hitchcock movies. Yes, that's what we are getting into. We are discussing our top 5 favorite Alfred Hitchcock movies. Love him or hate him, or if you've never seen any of his stuff, go check some of his stuff out. You can find some of it on Peacock and wherever you stream movies as well. So, Zach, do you want to go old school and go back and forth, or do you want to just? I'll throw all mine out there, then you can throw all yours out there.
Let's go old school. Let's go one by one.
Okay.
Do you got any honorable mentions?
I don't have any honorable mentions. I was just going to dig into number 5.
Okay. Do you want me to do my honorable mentions, or just go ahead, or you want to do your number 5?
I'll do my number 5.
Okay, go ahead.
And then you can go and oh no, I forgot. You do have it. Go ahead. Honorable mentions.
I'm gonna do Dial M for Murder, the 39 Steps, and I'm gonna get a lot of flack from you and probably the rest of the world. But my only reason for this is I just wanted to give some recognition to his other movies. Psycho is my honorable mention. Official.
Of course. I will go number 5 for me. It's one of the later movies that I've checked out from him. I'm going to try to rewatch it again this week, but number 5 is Vertigo.
Nice. That's really the last big movie of his that we haven't done.
Yeah. And I think it's something that we should do.
I agree.
So Vertigo, I mean, I do want to save some bits and pieces because I think that is going to be an episode like very, very soon. So I do want to save some bits for that. But Vertigo is just something that, again, is a game changer. It's from 1958. You have to appreciate the way he shoots this movie and the score that's involved. So number 5 for me is going to be Vertigo. Zach, number 5.
My number 5 is one of his earlier films. It's going to be 1938's The Lady Vanishes. You can pick this up on Criterion. You can watch it free on Tubi. It's basically, the whole movie is basically about a woman who is on a train and essentially believes that a woman, like, as the title says, vanishes. Like, she sees her one minute and then she gets like, I think she gets like knocked out or something like that, or like gets hit in the head. And it's basically her the whole rest of the movie trying to figure out what happened to this woman, or if she, like, everyone on the train's calling her crazy, or she was never there. And there's like, you think there's like this whole big plot with this woman, and that's kind of basically the whole movie of her trying to figure out what happened. And it's very entertaining. It's shot really well for it to be a black and white 1938 film, and the 2 lead performances are really good. So it's definitely one that, outside of the main 5 that people always talk about, The Lady Vanishes is up there with some of his better films. What's your number 4?
Well, I'm in those 5 categories. I do have some Hitchcock collections that I'm on the verge of purchasing once I'm available to. There's like 2 or 3 that are outside the top 5 that I've seen. But I mean, you got to go with what you got to know. Number 4 for me is going to be North by Northwest. And looking back at it all these years later, after we did that episode, I've seen it 2 more times since that episode, and I'm like, how this movie, A, didn't win Best Picture, and B, didn't get any more recognition than it did. People, you can, I think it's BS, because people can be like, oh, this movie is one of the greatest of all times. He should have stopped with this. This was his masterpiece. And I'm like, okay, this was his masterpiece, but why didn't you give the man his flowers? You know what I mean?
Exactly. Yeah.
So, and then how nobody ever came to him, or if they did and he declined, he would have been the perfect director for a James Bond movie. This North by Northwest is way better than any James Bond movie I've ever seen prior to Pierce Brosnan. Anybody who wants to come at me, bro, come at me, because North by Northwest is top notch when you're talking spy espionage, action, story, and undercover.
You want to give out our email again in case people want to fight you on this?
You can look me up. You don't know. Yeah. But yeah, how North by Northwest didn't get.
It was nominated for 3 Oscars. And it won 2 out of the 3. And Ben-Hur was the big winner that night.
Yeah, no. So, but yeah, that's my number. That's my number 4 is North by Northwest. Zach?
My number 4 is going to be one that I think I saw much later in life, but that's because I had a huge crush on, still have a huge crush on Grace Kelly. Number 4 is going to be To Catch a Thief with Cary Grant. This one is so, it's almost like the original Oceans, if you want to think about it. I know there's Ocean's 11 with Sinatra, Dean Martin, and Sammy Davis Jr., but on a much more quote unquote grander scale, but more limited scale, this is a great heist film. It's Cary Grant trying to get some jewels from Grace Kelly, and Grace Kelly's on to him. He's the cat burglar. It's so much fun. It's shot impeccably. It's 2 great lead performances with Cary Grant and Grace Kelly. And I'm honestly, man, I think it's kind of underrated. You don't hear a lot of people talk about it, and it's such a wild ride, and it's only an hour. I keep thinking that movie's like 2.5 hours. It's an hour and like 46 minutes. So it goes by pretty quick. So it's a real fun film. Have you seen that one? So
I need to. There's a lot of movies that were recommended to me recently that I'm going to pick up. That Rope being one of them. So I'm definitely going to be checking some out. So number 3 for me is The Birds, 1963. So we've done a whole episode on it. I just recently watched it. Big Mitch. Talking about that movie.
That's your number 3?
That's my number 3.
I'll jump in with you. That's my number 3 as well as The Birds.
And like I said, we had a whole conversation about it years ago, and I think it was one of the more fascinating conversations. But just looking back at it, I'm also like, man, it makes me wonder if he did have some kind of personal issues about cheating with his wife, maybe that never got publicized or never got public, because in his latter movies, you know, adultery and cheating was highly one of the main issues of each movie he's done.
Mm-hmm.
There we go, episode 265. Go check it out.
Yeah, that was a fun conversation. That was a really fun rewatch.
Yeah,
and I think that's one of my favorite scenes from the Anthony Hopkins movie is where at the end he's like, I don't know what or when I'm going to become my next project, but I'm always on the lookout. And the crow lands on his shoulder. Like that was such a great nod to The Birds without even like fully saying it.
Yeah.
Yeah, The Birds is a great film. I think we had some just little nitpicks about it when we did the episode last year, or 2 years ago, I guess, when it was for its 70th anniversary, I think, or 60th or whatever.
We're talking like 2-3 years ago when we did that.
Yeah, I thought we did that last year, but no, we did it for its like anniversary, for its 60th anniversary, I think. It's a great film, and the fact that like I think Dick Cavett interview I sent you, he said that they trained like 200 to 300 birds to do like a lot of the stunts. So the fact that most of that is practical is unheard of in 1963.
The only issue I had with it this time around was the birds sounded more like cats.
Yeah, I agree.
Number 2, is it my go?
Yeah, because we share number 3, so yeah.
Number 2 is also one of those movies that I feel like I have to just revisit on a timely manner, and it's Rear Window. Give me Jimmy Stewart and Grace Kelly all day long. We're almost to that point where I get to watch It's a Wonderful Life again, and I don't have anything bad to say about James Stewart, and I just wish he's one of those actors that I would put him up there with one of my favorites as far as like if he was still alive producing stuff or putting stuff out, I'd go see it. He's up there. I think performance wise, he's up there with me as far as Denzel goes. Leo.
What about The Predator? Does that count?
I don't know who that is. He's up there also with.
He's up there with the greats, man. Like Daniel Day-Lewis, like all of them.
Yeah. So anything that Jimmy Stewart's in, I gotta go rush to go see. Or if I'm like, oh, I don't have that, but it's like really highly praised and talked about, like The Man Who Shot Liberty Valance. I didn't know he was in that until like 4 or 5 years ago, and I'm like,
that's one of the few John Wayne movies that I think is actually really good.
I was like, John Wayne's in it. I was like, I gotta get it now. So yeah. I ended up buying it, watching it. It's one of my favorite Westerns now of all time. So yeah, Jimmy Stewart, loved it. The way it's shot, the way the music is, the ending. How dare you even say this is anything like Disturbia? It is, but this
the concept is essentially
right. But Rear Window is a classic, one of my favorites. Yeah, number 2.
Awesome. I was about to say, The Man Who Shot Liberty Valance turned 64 next year. It's just like, I was about to say, if it was 65, it's like, what a perfect opportunity to do an episode. Still might be an episode. Who knows? Number 2 is North by Northwest. That's my original favorite Hitchcock film. Still holds up to this day. The plane sequence when he's out in the cornfield is incredible. What's the monument in South and North Dakota?
North Dakota, East Dakota, West Dakota, South Dakota. Oh,
where the final climax takes place on the president's faces on. Why am I blanking on this?
The Mount Rushmore.
Mount Rushmore, yeah, that's a great sequence. Cary Grant is awesome. He's like, I don't know how he's British. I don't know why was he not Bond at some point? That would have been incredible, you know?
Because you have the Sean Connery acts.
Yeah. Eva Marie Saint, who's crazy enough, she's still alive actually. It's just
she is.
It's a great spy thriller, honestly. And I think it's very much one of those ones that when you start watching it, you get sucked in and you can't really, you really want to know, you want to go on the journey with Cary Grant and see how he's going to get out of it, essentially.
Do you? You want to go on that?
I do. I don't know about you, but yeah. What's your number one? What's your number one favorite Hitchcock film? I think we already know the answer to this, but go ahead.
The year was 1998. No.
Don't even think about it.
Psycho.
Nice.
Is
that the Best Buy Steelbook?
That is the Best Buy Steelbook. You want it? $40? No. I think this movie, like I said, is just so influential on me. At any point, I can just put this movie in, and if I'm doing something, I can just get lost in the dialogue and the music, and I don't have to watch it. So there's very few select movies. That's probably a handful of movies that I'm like, oh, I could listen to this and enjoy it. I could listen to this with it, like not watch it, or I could just watch it and turn the volume down if I'm doing something on the phone, and it's just like it's so enjoyable. The way it's shot, the music, the score. We've had 2 full episodes on it. You guys want to go back and check them out? But anytime I get to listen or watch or study or dig into Psycho, I'm like, it's going to be a fun week. So that's my number one. Zach?
Yeah. My number one you mentioned is Rear Window. I love this film. Everything you just said about Psycho is about what I think about Rear Window. I can literally turn the movie on and just have it on as background noise, know exactly what's going on, what's scene, and even at some points know exactly what the dialogue is, and I can verbatimly say it. Three great performances: Grace Kelly, Jimmy Stewart, Grace Kelly, Raymond Burr, Thelma Ritter, who plays the nurse that comes in and like just has the wittiest dialogue, and like some of the most. That movie came out in 1954. Some of the most dead honest conversation about social life that we have today. Like, when did we become such? I'm paraphrasing this. We become such a race at peeping toms. You know how accurate that is in 2025? It's insane.
Yeah, even in one of the documentaries I watched, it was like 4 out of 9 people would stop to become a would glance through that peeping tom hole, or like if you saw your neighbor get undressed or something, 4 out of 9 people would stop to watch, and I'm like, that's kind of crazy, actually.
Well, and that's Rear Window is the perfect example of Hitchcock is very much the director that kind of invented voyeurism and like putting the audience in that, whether it be the killer or Jimmy Stewart's character or whatever the main character is in that spot, and putting them full frontal and put the binoculars on and seeing like what's going on the other side of the room or other people's lives. And we didn't even get to really talk about that, but that's like such an interesting conversation, honestly. And Rear Window to me is one of my top 5 favorite movies. I think it's a masterpiece. I know a lot of people say Psycho is, but I think Psycho's become too easy to spoof, if that makes sense. Like, everyone knows what that is. But Rear Window, I remember showing it to, I think Craig, he was on the episode with us and he had never seen it. And he was like, yeah, I mean,
yeah,
I don't know if I would rewatch it, but I can acknowledge that it's a really good movie. So
if Psycho is to horror what it has been all these years, what would you say Rear Window has kind of, I wouldn't say taken a step back to Psycho, but what would you compare Rear Window into maybe like today? I know they even tried to do that remake or somewhat of a remake with
Christopher Reeve. Yeah.
No, not that one. But there was one recently that was a Netflix only movie with Rachel McAdams, right?
the Amy Adams movie, The Woman in the Window. Oh,
yeah, something like that.
That was terrible. Yeah. Honestly, man, like I don't know if I'm going to be able to pull this comparison off, but I think Rear Window in today is kind of like maybe something like Get Out or Us, a Jordan Peele movie, which I could totally see him doing, where it's kind of like just take a normal citizen and just see like something that it may or may not be normal to see, and how A, you react to that, but B, like what do you do as a civilian to stop it? It's kind of an interesting concept.
Makes sense.
So,
Zach, it's kind of hard to say this, but October's pretty much in the books. What do we have next week? Spooky season is almost over.
Frankenweenie. We're going to do this is going to be our quote unquote Halloween movie capper. Frankenweenie, directed by Tim Burton, released in 2012, based off his short film that he did back in I think the 80s or 90s. This is my pick for, I think, one of the picks for this month, and I'm really excited to talk about it. I'll just go ahead and preface that this is one of my Halloween watches I do every year. So I'm excited to talk about it.
Really, every year?
Yep.
You know, it's been a minute since I've sat down and seen this movie, so I think we're going to have a fun time talking about it. I love Tim Burton and everything he brings to the table, but you know what I still get to talk about? So that's next Tuesday, October 28th. Next Thursday, October 30th, over at Friday the 14th, we're going to talk about Bring Her Back. So that's next Thursday, October 30th. We're talking Bring Her Back. You guys can stream that on HBO Max.
Have you watched it yet?
Not yet. Getting ready to dig into that. But yeah, man, next week is our last episode of October. Frankenweenie. We wrap up spooky season. It's in the books almost. And then November's packed. Zach, November the 4th. What are we talking about?
November 4th. Oh, you got the posters right there. Okay, thank you. November 4th, we're talking about Matthew McConaughey's new film on Apple TV, The Lost Bus. I'm going to try and watch it this weekend. If not, just get ready for the episode. Really excited to talk about it. Plus, new Matthew McConaughey. That's fits right into our schedule.
The next week, that is going to be November the 11th. What are we talking about?
November 11th, I'm really excited about. It fits right into this man's wheelhouse. We're talking about Guillermo del Toro's Frankenstein with Oscar Isaac. I'm excited about it. What about you?
I'm excited. I'm kind of
nervous. It's 2.5 hours.
I'm a little nervous, but I am going to hop down that Frankenstein train. I'm going to binge watch Frankenstein movies until I get to that. So I'm kind of interested. November the 18th.
Oh, man. November 18th, I'm really excited about. We're talking Dallas Buyers Club, the movie that won, the performance that won Matthew McConaughey's Oscar, also starring Jared Leto, which won an Oscar, and Jennifer Gardner. I'm really looking forward to talk about that.
I can't wait because if I don't know if I'll be able to play it, but go back and listen to his Oscar winning speech. It's one of the greatest of all times. And then we end the month of November with
Wicked for Good. We did Wicked earlier this year, so we're gonna finish it out and do part 2 right in time for Thanksgiving. So that will be the month of December. You excited?
We're talking about it November 25th.
Nice.
So because it comes out November 20th, right?
Where's my calendar at? November 21st it comes out, and then we'll talk about that Tuesday before Thanksgiving.
So I am excited. December is already in the books, but I will make the posters this week, and we will talk about the December schedule next week. Until then, Zach, I think we did Mr. Hitchcock a pretty good talking about. I could talk to him for another hour.
He texted me. He said he listened in. He was very proud of the episode. So,
but yeah, man, next week, Frankenweenie, and we end the month of October. So, anything you want to add, Zach, before we skedoodle on out of here?
No, I want to say thank you because this has really been a treat. Hitchcock believe it or not, I've only seen like 16 of his movies, so I still have a lot to watch. He's one of my, honestly, he's like my third favorite director, honestly. So I always look forward to watching a Hitchcock movie. And I'm glad we had this conversation. What about you?
I'm the opposite. I'm glad we had the conversation, but there's a lot more digging into Hitchcock that I got to do. And just me as a film fan, I look at that as like a challenge. So I'm like,
Yeah.
you know what? Let's
go.
Let's go to work. So, but it's again, it's always a joy to hang out and talk movies with you. I can't wait till next week and talk about Frankenweenie. Until then, I hope everybody has a good, safe week. And man, I can't wait to talk movies again next week with you.
Bye.
So have a good week.
Okay.
There we go. That's what I'm talking about.